Back again. Back again. Had a one show, ran over a little bit, but into the other. This is Honest Hour. And tonight's guest is none other than Hood Soul. This brother is a passionate artist. Real passionate in what he talks about, what he rhymes about. He also has a business called Maze Moss, where he sells sea moss, and we're gonna get into it. I appreciate him looking in on my sports show, patiently waiting. So we're gonna get him right in the room as he's already. What's going on, my brother?
What's up? Can you hear me?
I can hear you. You can hear me?
Yep.
Yeah, sorry I'm a little late. As you see, we get a little rowdy with the sports.
Listen, I get it. As a football fan myself, I was like, let me peek in for a little bit. I was like, I forgot his name, but I seen he had the Rodgers jersey on. I was like, okay, Jets fan, I see it. And now, however our season go, that's just based on if we can stay healthy and if we can stay connected. Because
Absolutely.
managing my expectations when it comes to that.
Absolutely. You know, and it's rough. You have to. You see me, my Steelers all day. You know, I just
Yeah.
it's one of them things. You know, I'm about to be here. Just leave me alone. Just let me have my moments. You know.
Uh, Listen, I get it, and I love Mike Tomlin as a coach. Love
Absolutely.
Mike Tomlin as a coach. What y'all got
Absolutely.
going on in that quarterback room? The way I personally feel, I feel Justin Fields is the better start. I get why Mike Tomlin is starting with Wilson because of experience and whatnot, but I just feel like the
Right.
best bet for y'all is Justin Fields, just off of the athleticism alone.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out why my screen is doing all that crazy
Look
stuff.
like a filter.
Yeah, I don't know how to turn it off.
I think if you swipe.
I don't know how it did that. Like you was just talking. Yeah, hold on. That
There you go.
that's definitely it. Okay. All right, there we go. Because it was just like, whoa. Yeah, no, definitely gonna be something for sure. But I usually do that show on Mondays.
Oh, okay.
But my co-host, my co-host, uh, he had to work yesterday, so he was like, "Can we do it today?" I'm like, "Oh, okay." Listen, it's just got to. We started early. I was trying to usually 2 hours, but it's the NFL preview episode, so it's a little hard
Oh
to end that
yeah, I
episode
was about to
early.
say 2 hours for the beginning of the season is definitely hard to do.
Uh, so, but I appreciate you coming on, taking time. Shout out to Miss Henry in the comments here.
Yeah.
You know, you know, I don't know if you remember. Do you remember the first actual meeting we had?
I feel like it was at one of the open mics.
It was actually they had the gospel night at the church behind
Oh,
Aldi's,
the
and
extravaganza,
and
yeah,
I was taking pictures, and you were selling the sea moss
yeah.
there. I actually have a picture of you because I was taking pictures of the vendors and everything. I got a
Hmm.
picture of you with the sea moss there. Um, that was the first time that I had seen you, and then I seen you come up on Instagram just doing music, and then we met at one of those open mics
Yeah.
formally. And I asked you to come on, and then you reached out. So I'm glad you're here. I've been listening to what you've been doing, man, and I was a little upset at the poetry night because you was spitting and the audience wasn't listening. They wasn't listening because
You're not the only one.
like,
I had
like
a
that
couple
that
people come up to me and was like, "Yeah, this wasn't the crowd because they wasn't hearing what you was saying." I was
nah,
like,
nah, not at all. Because I'm one that take lyrics seriously.
"Yeah,
So when I'm listening, I'm like, oh, he's about that. and the crowd just, sometimes not every crowd's for every artist.
Of course, yeah.
Not every crowd's for every artist, but you're definitely dope. I actually took a little bit of a different approach with this interview. I usually do, I have a lot of deep rooted questions for people to understand you. And for us, we know each other, but we don't know each other that well. So, this is just an open end. You have anything you want to ask me, feel free.
All right.
So I'm gonna hop right into it and ask you, where are you originally from, Newburgh, or where are you from, man?
Born and raised, Newburgh, New York.
Okay. What were some of your experiences growing up in the Burgh?
That's a good question. I feel like my upbringing wasn't too different from a lot of us that grow up in Newburgh. Being in the inner city, um, understanding that the lifestyle that you're currently living is not so. Growing up in Newburgh is kind of a bubble. You don't really realize that there's much outside of Newburgh because
Yeah.
everything you see is a lot of the times it's a lot of other people struggling, or you see people trying to do what they got to do to get by, and you're just looking at it from a perspective of, okay, maybe this is what I got to do to make it or to make it out. But there's so many of us that stay in Newburgh all of our lives and don't know that there's another city we can go to. Like there's a lot of people in Newburgh that haven't even taken the bridge to go across the beacon.
Yes.
So Newburgh tends to, if you allow it, it can consume your soul.
Absolutely.
And you'll feel like that there's no light at the end of the tunnel because all you see are these dark clouds that surround it. And it's such a Newburgh, and specifically the city of Newburgh, there's such a heavy weight that you gotta hold because you're always in that mentality of I gotta survive, I gotta survive, I gotta survive, I gotta make it to the next day, I gotta look over my shoulder, I gotta make sure I don't step on nobody's toes. So it's a constant fight or flight feeling that you're experiencing growing up. So most of the time, by the time that we're grown up, we have an existential amount of trauma that we have to learn how to, one, figure out what exactly the source of it is, and two, learning how to break away from that trauma so it doesn't become a part of our identity. Because so many times there's a point where we just, whatever the most traumatic point in our life was, at whatever age we were at when we've experienced it, we live in that age. Even as an adult, we still live in that same moment where the trauma hit us the hardest. So much of it is, how do I get away from that age and be at the age where I'm at now, to where it's time for me to start living and, you know, doing things differently and going going to a better place in our life instead of living in that point of misery where life hit us the hardest. Because
Absolutely.
that's not the only aspect of life we should be living, but 9 times out of 10, so many of us get caught up on that traumatic aspect, whether it's, seeing loved ones lost, friends murdered, because it's just a variety of things that could have hit you the hardest. And so many times we stay stuck in that moment of grief and anguish and pain. And I'm I'm definitely a person that has done it a lot because I've lost so many people,
Mm-hmm.
even getting to the point to where I'm at now. And I'm fairly young. I'm 26, but everything that I've had to live through up to this point, let's just say I've seen more funerals than weddings, and I've heard more RIPS than wedding vows. And people don't take that into account when it comes to what it's like growing up, and specifically growing up as a black man or a black person in general,
Right.
is the amount of trauma that you have to hold and carry, and not only carry, but you got to carry with a smile, because you can't let nobody see you sweat. You can't let nobody see you break down or falter. Even if you do
Absolutely.
break down, you got to break down in the darkest, quietest corner that no one can see you in. just so you could be like, okay, I'm good. Let me move forward. So as far as what it was like growing up in Newburgh, it's a beautiful place because there's so many talented people here.
Absolutely.
And there's actually, I don't know how true this is, but this is what I heard.
Okay.
Newburgh, the city of Newburgh is the second largest historical district in New York State. So there's a lot of old architecture from like back in the 1700s and that you can still see today. And a lot of the houses that were built were from the 1700s. So it's just like a lot of brick houses, stone houses, and there's a lot of beautiful architecture in Newburgh as well. So
Absolutely.
there's so much beauty that we have here, but it's often overshadowed from the trauma and the pain and the violence that happens. But it's like that's not all what Newburgh is. Newburgh is beautiful. Newburgh is bright. Newburgh is vibrant. Newburgh has so much life. It's just all about how do we get resources to the people that need the resources so that way we can bring that light to fruition. And now everybody can see, oh, this person has this talent, this person has that talent, or
Right.
this person's good at this craft or that craft or this trade, just giving us a chance. That's like living in Newburgh was always trying to fight to have a chance.
Wow. I asked that episode every, I asked that question every episode, and I think you had the most thought out, deep, touching answer. you know, woo, like I could, that's why, that's why it's just like, just the amount of emphasis you put. I thought you were older than 26. I thought you were closer to my age. I'm 36. So,
I get that a lot. I had somebody the other day who was like, I thought you was in your mid-30s. And I'm like, nah, I've lived a lot of life in the short amount of time that I've been living. So,
and it's the way you carry yourself. You're a pretty calm, cool guy. Like you come in the room and like it's not like you're not noticeable, like
yeah.
physically, because you're a tall guy. You're
Hmm.
you're a stocky guy, but you just real quiet. Just what's up, man? Not you just really laid back, chill. Your presence is just really like calming. I guess you could say. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's an interesting answer to that question, but I liked it. Very upbeat, positive in a way because growing up in this city, it's hard.
Yeah.
I grew up predominantly in the town of Newburgh, but you getting a lot of flowers in the comments. Been a real brother since high school. Exactly, my best bro is a prize.
I
So
appreciate it.
I grew up in the town, but I hung out with my friends and I've seen some stuff, nothing that a lot of people that who lived in the city of Newburgh their whole life have seen, but
Mhm.
I've seen some shootings and some stuff, definitely some wrong place, wrong time
Yeah.
things. But with all that, through all that, what were some of your interests and hobbies as you were growing up?
Um, Basketball, of course. I feel like all of us had that stint in time where we thought we was gonna make it to the NBA.
Yeah,
I knew very early on, once I lost my shooting ability and got bigger, I was like, yeah, couldn't
nope.
really dribble that much. I said I play ball for fun now. Um, but I played football in high school. I was all right. I was dealing with injury, and also I started football really late. Like I didn't play football until my junior year of
Right.
high school, and it was just because like coach, like I was gonna start my sophomore year, but life happened. So my junior year, that's when I officially decided to play, and I loved it. I love football. It was the one place where I was legally allowed to hit somebody. Um,
Ah,
like that aspect of football, I was like, yeah, I needed this because the way I want to hit people, I can't hit people because technically it ain't legal. So, football, I I tried to play soccer. I give it up to soccer people.
No,
There's so much stamina you need trying to play soccer. Like all that running. Same with track. Like track, I was like, man, y'all got it. Y'all
like
got it. But
I'm good on this.
I'm good on it. But I also I'm big into poetry. I was big into poetry growing up. I still am. I'm always trying to write something. I did step away for a little bit because of life, but I got back into it because I was like, you know what? I need to start performing my stuff more. Not only my music, but my poetry. And with poetry, poetry led into music.
Mm,
So that led into me rapping because rap is rhythm and poetry. That's the acronym. And I've had such an appreciation for hip hop mostly because I grew up listening in the 90s. So I grew up listening to Eric B. and Raheem. I grew up listening to DMX. DMX is my favorite artist. I grew up listening to Mobb Deep, Jay Z, and I'm not a big Jay Z fan, but I give Jay Z his flowers because for his longevity. I was
absolutely.
always more of a Nas fan. To this day, Nas beat Jay Z. I don't care what nobody say. I'll leave that. If that need to be an argument for another day, it will be. But I I always appreciated Nas for his storytelling factor with it, and that's why when I write music now, most of it is from a storytelling perspective.
Right.
So yes, I'll rap about the hood, but I'll rap about the good and the bad about it. I won't glorify any murders that's happened or anything I've witnessed or whatever the case may be, but I will talk about it because it is an aspect of what happens when you are raised in the hood. You will see things like that.
A-
But
Absolutely.
I write music and I'm talking about love and I'm talking about heartbreaks. Like I'm touching on every subject that needs to be touched because first of all, I feel like R&B has not been the same and
Hmm.
I can't really sing like that, but I was like I could rap about love. So I could still bring that same 90s 2000s feel to the words that I spit and then just have an artist go ahead and sing a hook. But I feel like that is an aspect of music nowadays that is lost. No one actually talks about love and relationships in the way that it should be talked about. It's easy to talk about. Oh, excuse my profanity, by the way.
No,
I just
no.
want to fuck
Listen,
bitches, get money.
here's the
Um,
thing about
mhm.
this show. I don't mean to stop you. I just
No,
want
you good.
you to clarify. This is called Honest Hour because I want you to be who you are. I want you. You can sing, my boy. You can be who you are. I don't want you to be worried about swearing nothing. You be who you are.
Gotcha.
You know, So I just wanted to make sure I put that out there. Go ahead.
All right.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you good. But yeah, like most of the music, whenever it is pertaining to love, is always the lust aspect of it. Like, oh, I'm gonna fuck shorty, I'm gonna do this, I'm gonna do that, or I'm gonna fuck this nigga, get this money, da da da. So it's never actually talking about like how a relationship should be, or the beauty of how love could be, or also the pain of a heartbreak. There's so many times we don't talk about the pain of the actual breakup and how you're hurting and how you had to find a way to heal and move on.
Right.
So much of our music nowadays is polluted with the negativity. And sometimes that gets discouraging for an artist like myself because we live off of storytelling and we still live off of the golden era of rap. I consider 90s golden era of rap because that
Absolutely.
was the time where there were so many different artists and everyone had their own sound, their own flow, and everybody spoke on multiple topics within their music. So it was like, okay, there was something for everyone, and then there was still something you could pick up from the songs you listen to whereas now everything kind of sounds blended. Everybody sounds the same. Everybody has auto tune or using 808s and hi hats.
Hmm.
It's just very meshed together, and it's to the point where you're just like, what am I really listening to? Now every artist sound the same. So I could hear somebody listening to something and I think it's the artist, and it's like, no, that's a different artist. But it's like they sound exactly the same. And I know a lot of that is because of that's kind of the blueprint of how to be successful fast is sounding like somebody or
Right.
having a TikTok viral song and you get that. a little bit of fame, and that's fine if like that's all you want is a little bit of fame,
Right.
and then you disappear, and it's like, oh, okay, like that's your legacy. You had that one TikTok
You
song,
had that one thing,
yeah,
and now
and
it's like okay, now what do I do next? Because it's just like that's the path you've chosen to go.
yep. So, but yeah, music is one of my hobbies as well, and farming, I wouldn't say it's a hobby; it's my lifestyle. Um,
Okay.
I became a farmer, like a full-time farmer, 4 years ago. I have not looked back. Um, and I highly suggest everybody to at least attempt farming one time. Spend a day on a farm, find a farm, learn about what it is to tend to the soil and cultivate the soil and have your hands in the dirt and planting seeds and watching things grow. There's such a therapeutic aspect of farming, and that was part of the reason why I got into farming, was needing to find that sense of peace for my soul. There's so many times that we get caught up with the corporate world and the corporate life and the fast hustle and bustle, and I just got to get money, I got to pay bills, I got to do this, I got to do that, to where we forget about the most healing thing to do is to be out in nature, to allow your body to recharge and be at peace and be at ease, because of the simple fact you're around calming aura. So whereas if you're in a cubicle, if you're sitting at an office and you're working with coworkers you don't want to really deal with, and you got to hear their bickering, and you don't really have time to breathe while you're at work.
Yeah.
So I'm like, I'm about to be a farmer. I've always wanted my own land. I've always wanted to have my own farm. And I've also always wanted to have like-minded people. We come on the farm, we start the farm together, and then we build it and we expand. So now not only is it just our farm, it becomes a community farm. So now people in the
Mm.
community are learning how to grow their own fruits and vegetables, and they take that knowledge and they go to their house, and now what would be just regular green lawn, that could be garden beds on your lawn, and that could be fruits and vegetables growing there. You could have a mini greenhouse, and you could have your own produce for your family and your households. And I feel like that's an aspect. That's what one of the things we suffered with growing up in the hood is never having access to fresh food. We
Yeah.
always had a Chinese spot. We always
Mhm.
had K fried. We always had a McDonald's. Anything that was unhealthy, that's what we had. And even at the corner stores we had, the bodegas we had, 9 times out of 10, we getting old bananas, some
Yep.
old type of fruit,
Not
and
fresh.
yeah. So everything was just, and that also messes with the development of a lot of kids growing up. It's like I'm not receiving the proper nutrients I need from the food that I'm eating.
Right.
But I also know this is the only food that I could afford because this is what they make cheap for us. So now, if you had the skill to know how to grow your own food, now you have your fresh fruits, your fresh vegetables, your medicinal herbs that you could use if you're feeling sick and you need to make a tea and whatnot. Like me personally, I'm all about self-sufficiency, all
Mm.
about self-sufficiency. And that is an aspect that we've lost along the way because we've become so dependent on government assistance and things like that. And I'm not saying if you really are hard times, absolutely. But use that to boost yourself up. Don't use that to just stay there and be like, okay, the government got this for me. Nah, be like, all right, I'm gonna do it till I get back on my feet, but then I'm gonna go ahead and make sure that I can be on my feet by myself and not have to depend on the government. Because the government like to suck everybody in. They
Right.
want you to be dependent. They want you to feel like you have to need the government. And it's like, no, not necessarily. You need you. You need your family. You need your friends. Those are your needs. Not necessarily whatever the government trying to give to you, because you can get yourself that.
And a lot of times people get sucked in and they don't want to come back out. They're like,
Mm-hmm.
why am I going to work for something I can get for free?
Yep.
Like, I always say if it's free, it's for me, right? But
Mm-hmm.
like if someone says, hey, listen, I'm going to give you this because you did this for me. I don't go into anything expecting nothing
Yep.
or expecting something out of it.
Mm-hmm.
I go in, and even when someone offers me something, I'm like, you don't have to.
Yeah.
That's just who I am. But they're like, no, 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 no. It makes a lot of sense, and that's a different aspect of life. And I'm going to hold that more of those questions to when I get to the CMOS part of this interview.
Mm-hmm.
But,
What I
you can't.
what I
You,
will say,
mm-hmm.
as far as you not wanting to accept everything, I understand that, but there's a fine line between not wanting to accept everything and being service for the business that you provide. So
Right.
I feel like that's another issue that we have as Black people when it comes to the topic and conversation of money and getting paid for. Unless you're doing it just for a favor, just off the strength of love, that's fine. But if it's like certain things that you're doing and it pertains to a particular craft that you have and something that you're good at and they need your service, do not be afraid to tell them the price that you want, that you feel you deserve. Because so many times I've done that and I still kind of do it and I'm fighting through it.
Right.
I've lowballed myself because I'm like, I'm not that good at it. Or I'm
Yep.
not the best at it.
Yep.
And it's like, nope, I'm the best at it right now because I have the skill you need. So for that being said, you're gonna pay me the price that I tell you. And if you don't want to pay me, hey, good luck finding somebody else. You may find somebody that charges cheaper, but just understanding your value of the things you do, I feel like it's so important, and it's such an aspect that we lose sight of because that also means you have to know your self-worth.
Mm-hmm.
So many of us fail at knowing our self-worth because we value our worth towards the outside people and what everybody else sees us and perceives us as in their mind. They are not you. You are you. So you got to sit and tell yourself every day, I'm better than what I used to be. I can do this. I can do that. I'm smart. I'm strong. I'm brave. Giving yourself those words of affirmation for yourself because it's so easy to beat yourself down for the things that life throw at you when it's like, nah, I'm good. I'm still here. I'm still standing. Like I'm gonna keep fighting. I'm keep doing what I gotta do and move forward with the things that I have. Like even with farming, like when people first asked me to like do gardens and stuff for them, I used to be like, maybe I could do it for free because I don't really know. But I was like, no, I have 4 years of experience. I've done the work.
Yeah.
I've done the labor. I still do the work. I still do the labor. So I'm going to put my price tag for myself. Same with my CMOS business. What I used to sell CMOS for to compare to what I sold it now, I'm gonna tell you when we start talking about CMOS. But it was funny the
Yeah.
price I was originally selling it for, and then I had to be like, no, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I got a little story on that too. But it's definitely you definitely have a point. You have to really value yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Because then like sometimes like someone asked me one time to do a photo job for them. All right, cool, I got you. Here's the price. They're like, whoa, that much? And I said, he's about to pay, Paul Mole over here
Mm-hmm.
triple that. I was
Exactly.
just like, you know what I'm saying? I said, I'm already cutting you a deal. I
Mm-hmm.
said, compared to that, I was like, so, you don't want to pay that. They ended up paying someone, the original guy couldn't do it. So they ended up paying someone who did it for even double his price. Because they tried to come back and said, can you do it? Nope.
Yeah.
Nope. I got morals. I got
Mm-hmm.
morals.
And then on top of that, you come back to me. Now I'm charging higher because you wasted my time the first time. Now you got to
Mm-hmm.
pay a different fee
Yeah.
because you thought the grass was greener on the other side. It's still dry. You could have came over here where I keep the grass watered.
Yeah. And you'd have been good.
Mm-hmm.
So now you kind of named your inspirations in music. Now, I don't know if you've ever tuned into this show, but a lot of the guests like this show. And, Mariah will tell you I made her angry. I make a lot of my guests angry with this game called Honest Picks. I'm going to give you two artists. And in this category, in this case, I got solo male artists and I got groups. and I'm going to give you two. You tell me which one you like better.
Okay.
Okay, so I'm going to start very generic. She said, yes, he did. I be stressing people out. Oh, man. I be stressing people out. So I'm going to start generic. Biggie or Tupac?
Damn, the first question, huh? That's
I never seen anyone get stressed over that one. Usually everyone's like, all right, they can pick one. And she said, and he made mommy tight too. Yeah, moms was not happy that night.
because you know what's so crazy about both of those artists? As individuals, they're so special. And even with the backgrounds, because Pop had his background in the arts. So you can hear that come through with everything that he says. But then you have Biggie, where it's like that's that real life experience he had growing
Mm-hmm.
up. And then even hearing the because Biggie was just so smooth with the flow. Like he was that dude. So it's like it's tough because Pac was that dude too. Like Pac was that dude too.
Yeah.
And dang.
He's
Oh,
like,
it's tough. It's tough. It's tough. That's crazy. Like I have so much respect for both of those artists because they both paved the way. And well, they were two of the people that paved the way. I give my credit to LL too. LL he was that dude too. All right. Dang.
you're not stressed. This is the first
Because
one. Like,
it's I'm because I really love and enjoy music, and I hate questions like these because I'm just like I just enjoy artists for who they are, and I
well,
try not to pin them so much. But for this, I
mind you, I have 25 of these all together for you. So
25 is crazy. 25 is crazy. Yeah, it's Biggie. It's
she
Biggie.
said, just say Biggie.
Yeah, it's Biggie. Because
you
yeah,
kind of you kind of already said this. I'm just gonna say this as a formality. Jay-Z or
come
Nas?
on, no, ain't no question for me.
Okay, this one. Rakim or KRS-One?
Woo! Oh, oh, oh. I'm
I
giving
know
it to KRS.
that one's
That
dirty though. I know.
one's dirty, but I'm giving it to KRS.
All right, this one's another formality because you kind of already said Buster Rhymes or DMX.
DMX. And I love Buster, but DMX. Come on.
Eminem or Lil Wayne? Oh, you about to make him shake the table?
That's a good pinup. That's a good matchup. Slight edge to Wayne.
Okay. Ice Cube or Scarface?
I'm giving it to Scarface. I'm giving
Ghostface?
it to Scarface. Yeah.
Ghostface or Method Man? I know you're thinking like he ain't even playing fair right now.
Not at all. These matchups is crazy. ah, ah, I'm gonna say method. I'm gonna say method.
Okay. Andre 3000 or Black Thought?
That's wild. That's wild. That's wild. Just throw my whole phone out the window at this point. Oh man. Oh man.
He said, just throw my whole phone out. Oh my gosh.
Very very, very slight edge to Andre.
Oh,
Very
okay.
slight edge. Because on any given day, that could change.
LL Cool J or Big Daddy Kane?
Oh.
It's just like
I felt that one coming too, because like even when I said LL earlier, I thought Big Daddy Kane in the back of my head too.
she said, I tried to warn you.
Yeah, it's crazy out here, treacherous in these streets. But I'll still give it to LL, but Big Daddy Kane was definitely one of them ones too.
Okay. Q-Tip or T.I.?
Mm, ooh,
Yeah, that one's a little harder than you would think. Off the naked eye, most people would probably pick Q-Tip,
yeah,
but T.I.
but Ti had that 4 album run that was tough. Like Ti definitely. Ooh, I'm gonna give it to Q-Tip.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it to Q-Tip, but Ti is definitely he definitely had that tough 4 album run.
Most Def or Common?
Most of.
Kanye or Lupe?
I don't even like that you pin them together because
The two.
I feel like because I rock with Lupe heavy because Lupe's creativity is amazing, but Kanye is a musical genius in his own right, and I'm like, oh, oh, yo, that's crazy. Now these is good matchups. I'm not gonna lie.
Appreciate it.
Uh,
Kick push. She said kick push. Like right off this line.
nah, for real, because I'm like, and it's so wild because like I was just listening to Lupe the other day. He got a song called "Words I Never Said."
Oh man, that's my joint.
Yo, love that song. That song right there, and like he's just speaking so much truth in it too, and it's like that song still holds relevance to this day, especially with all the things that's going on overseas right now in Gaza. So it's just like,
Streets on Fire is another one
oh
on the
yeah,
cool.
oh
Bro,
yeah,
that song I felt I hadn't listened to it in a while and it came up during like the peak of COVID. And
hmm
I start listening to the words and like that song's supposed to be about AIDS and my daughter says, Dad, is he talking about COVID? I'm like, he might as well be.
yeah.
Like
uh, oh man.
yeah.
Nah, it's so wild because I have such respect for Kanye as just and especially after watching the Kanye doc too.
On
Like
Netflix. That was
yeah,
dope.
and then just seeing like the true connection he had with his mother before she passed. Like you could tell that was his rock, and
Oh.
like it's just like man, ah,
You can say neither or both as well if you really can't pick.
nah, I'm gonna give it to Kanye. I love Lupe, but I'm gonna give it to Kanye.
J. Cole or Kendrick Lamar?
It's cool. It's
Big
cool.
Sean, Big Sean or Drake?
Big Sean. Not a Drake fan.
All right, fair enough. All right, here we go. That was the end of that category. Now we got the group category. He's like, no.
That was a terrible first part. All right.
EPMD or Outcast?
Yo. Oh
Yo,
my
Mariah's
God.
just laughing at you, bro, in the comments.
Cause she knows why.
She knows it. He looked so stressed out.
Just got off work.
He's like, just did my farm thing all day, and now you want to hit me with this shit.
This is wild. I'm gonna say Outcast.
Okay. Tribe Called Quest or Wu-Tang Clan? He said we have these discussions. You are out here stressing bro out.
Oh my gosh. Ah, I'm a ah ah. I'm gonna do Wu Tang. I'm gonna do Wu Tang, but I don't like how that was matched up. But you got it.
MOP or UGK?
It's MOP for me. I love MOP. Them. What? I want to bust somebody up playing them
Yeah,
straight
they
away.
get you hyped.
Yeah.
Black Star or Slum Village?
Oh wow. I haven't heard Slum Village in a while. Wow.
Oh yeah, I be listen. This head is a hip hop museum. I be pulling it out.
That's ooh. Mm, I'm gonna give it to Black Star.
Okay. This is a little bit of an odd one, but I figured I'd throw it in there. Crisscross or Kid and Play?
I'm doing Get in Play.
Little he do research for days.
Nah,
You know it.
for real, because I'm sitting here like half of these I haven't heard in so long.
Little Brother or The Far Side?
I'm gonna say the Far Side.
Brand Nubian or Boogie Down Productions?
Boogie Down Production.
The Locks or G Unit?
LOX baby.
Cypress.
The crazy thing about G Unit, the my personal opinion, one of the people that had the most potential, Lloyd Banks, who did not pursue his potential, Lloyd Banks. Because I'm like, bro, because he wanted to stay in that one craft he was in, but it's like,
Mm-hmm.
nah, like you really could be more. And like the way G Unit just fell apart, it's like, dang, where you got the Locks, these were like, I don't know if you've seen a Tiny Desk concert.
Oh yeah.
Man,
They just released a porch concert too. I
yeah.
was seeing earlier.
They,
But I will say this. Lloyd Banks, and I'm just looking it up now, in 2021 released The Course of the Inevitable. And I don't know if you heard that, but it was definitely what he needed.
okay.
So much that in 2022 he released The Course of Inevitable 2, which was better than the first one. And then that one did so good that last year he released The Course of Inevitable 3, Pieces of My Pain. So 3 years, 3 albums,
Okay.
and they definitely, if you haven't checked them out, you get some time, check them
I
out because he
got you. I
definitely was
because
talking his
I
shit.
really rock with Lloyd Banks, and I think the song he did that really had me rocking with him was when he did the Victory remix.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, and 50 came in, yo, the sun don't shine forever.
but as long as it's
Yeah,
here, then we might as well.
now this time together, now and never, more hoes and more cheddar. He did like what? I was like, yo, that intro in itself had me ready. I said, yo, and then Lloyd came in. I said, nah.
Oh yeah, no, they murked it for no reason.
Mm,
So, Cypress Hill or Bone Thugs and Harmony?
it's a good matchup. Good matchup. But I think it's Bones for me. I think Bones Legs
Okay.
and Harmony. I think
Mobb Deep or NWA?
that one ain't fair. That one ain't fair.
All right, I only got 3 more after this one. It's almost over.
That ain't fair. 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 You know, Queens get the hustle, long time no cash. I'm caught up in the hustle, my guns go blast. My crew retaliated, so I had to think fast. It's Mobb Deep for me.
Okay. De La Soul or Eric B. and Rakim? He's just like, this ain't right. This ain't right.
I'm a I'm gonna do Eric B. The De La Soul is them ones, but I'm gonna do Eric B and Rakim.
And then my last 2. These 2 virtually make everyone mad. They're not right, and that's why I keep them. The first one is Aretha Franklin and Whitney Houston.
Chat, y'all want to answer?
Huh?
Said the chat. Do they want to answer? That's crazy.
Yo, that one made Mariah's mom upset. She was yelling at me in the comments.
That's crazy. Oh, I don't even like that one at all.
she put angry faces again.
That's a wild. That's wild. That's wild. That's wild. I'm that one. I'm gonna do neither. That one
Oh,
I'm gonna do
okay.
neither.
Okay. And the last one is Michael Jackson or Prince.
Feel like you can't compare them, but it's MJ. It's
Okay.
MJ.
Well, usually that's why mom was cursing him out these last 2. Well, yeah, no, I hope you enjoyed that, even though it stressed you out.
No, that was great. That was great. That was great. That's a great Q&A with that. That's perfect for music. Because that's one that really get people thinking. Because it's like, dang, I ain't hear this group in a while, or I ain't hear this person in a while. It's like, dang. And then you start remembering songs, and it's like, oh, but they did have this, but they got that. So yeah, it was good.
Absolutely. It's I try, and I left the category out. I usually do female rappers too, but I was just like, okay, it would have went. I had 25 there. I would have went to like 40,
Yeah, we
like
got
at that point.
to do that one another time.
Yeah, absolutely. So you said your music. You were really into poetry, and that's what led you into going to music. When did you start making music, or just start even really turning your poetry into music?
Probably I want to say my sophomore year in high school. I was that's when SoundCloud like really was popping. So I'd go on GarageBand and I would do like instrumentals of popular songs and then just like freestyle over it or something and then upload it. So probably around that time, and then I kind of stopped in college for a little bit and then tried to get back into it. So like my music career has really been on and off for the most part, whether it be because of life or just like writer's block, things like that. But like I've always found myself rapping. The moment I hear a beat, I'm like, oh, okay. Even if it's a drill beat, and I can't stand drill beats, but I'll still find a way to try to freestyle on it or rap on it or whatever.
Yeah,
But like remember somebody was playing the DJ Premier beat. I think I just rapped on it, and like it was just a whole session of us, and we was just freestyling. And I was like, that's one part of music I do miss. There's no more freestylers anymore. There's no more people that just get up with each other and just play beats and just start rapping, or having a writer's block where everybody just we working on our craft together and really just building and sharpening each other's swords and being better at the music, because it's so easy to be mediocre and make it.
Absolutely. Like seriously. You don't really have to be very talented
Mm.
to really do get to where you're trying to go.
Yep.
Like people just kind of just can get there without having the talent or having the tools to be talented.
Mm.
Like so it's definitely difficult, which is why, you know, like I can appreciate your approach to music because you're not like everyone else. You're really taking a different direction that people don't listen to or don't see, or and that's why I think that, like, to kind of piece back to what you said earlier,
Mm.
was that people um people, what you call it, Jesus Christ, people take um
I was about to say, go ahead, handle your message real quick.
yeah, it's just like, so what you call it, so people, you said earlier, like, people always want to take the negative, right?
Mm-hmm.
And that's the same thing in the music. People want to take the negative and they want to run with it. So
Yeah.
when someone does something that's positive and soulful, it hurts, right?
Mm-hmm.
It hurts. So so or it doesn't hurt. People don't want to. People can't adhere to that, right? Like,
Yeah.
they can grasp to the negativity, but they can't grasp to the positivity, and they don't see more. And
Mm-hmm.
I post these positive videos, right? So I did a test one day. I posted a video talking about some very positive stuff. It was like 2 minutes. Posted it, right? I posted an interview, or not an interview. I posted after that. I took the background. I did use green screen. Something happened with Kanye and his and Kim Kardashian, and it was something about the kids not wanting to go with her, and they
Yeah.
want to stay with Kanye. And I posted about that. I look back, my video, my positive video. I look back an hour later. My positive video had 26 views. The one about Kanye had over 300 views in 1 hour.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
And I think part of it is you see Kanye. I understand that, but the other part of it is people are like, "Oh, well, that's Kanye. He must have did something.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on?" That's that's the thing about it. That's
Yeah.
the thing
And
that gets people.
and that's and that's also how a lot of the times the algorithm works too.
Yes.
Like if we go to the technological side of things, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat, Facebook, whatever social media you decide to partake in, anytime, and even outside of social media, the news itself, how many times do we watch the news, or people that still watch the news, and it's always negative headlines first? And then maybe
Always.
later on towards the end, you may get something positive. Or even the news is talking about celebrity drama. That's
Yeah.
not something that needs to be on Eyewitness News. We don't care. We
Nope.
don't need to care. That's their business. Let them handle their business. They are people at the end of the day. They're just people with more money and more cameras on them. That's it. So a lot of the times, that's why everything is functioned to highlight negativity first. That's why, like, even on my page, the most I post, I'm like, all right, farming. working out, music, something more uplifting than not. Or even if I post a picture, I got a positive quote on the bottom, just so I don't know who's having a good day or a bad day. But if
Right.
you scroll past something of mine, hopefully it puts a smile on your face. Because I get it. It's plenty of times I have a bad day, and for the most part, throwing some good music in my ear, or maybe I'll find something on social media that's positive because I try to clean my algorithm up as much as possible to have nothing but positivity really showing on my timeline. I don't care much about the drama. I don't care about these celebrities. That's nothing against them. They could be great people, and I just don't know. But at the end of the day, they got to live their life. I got to live my life. There's actual people that are around me that I need to care for more, and got to figure out how we build things and how we move things and how we can live comfortably and enjoy this life instead of always having to think about negativity or deal with negativity.
Absolutely.
And it just it sucks that we are in this current era where even with like certain podcasts, especially these relationship podcasts, I
Oh yeah, they're special.
I swear, you want to know the best advice for a relationship is? I'm gonna tell you right now. Figure it out between you and the person you with.
Yeah.
That's the best advice I could possibly give you. Do not follow what anybody on a social media platform or a podcast on relationships is telling you. Because 9 times out of the 10, there's still a lot of work that they have not done for themselves. And 9 times out of the 10, they're speaking out of a place of hurt instead of healing. And it messes with everybody else because we're thinking, oh, they're so good. They've done this, they've done
Mm-hmm.
that. When in reality, no, there's still a lot of work that they have to do. Just like there's a lot of work we all have to do. But it's better for when you are with somebody or dealing with somebody, you don't try to compare them to social media standards. Social media standards aren't real for the most part. People are portraying things that they've seen other people on social media do, not in real life. Other people in social media do. So we're so quick to jump on, oh, but I seen this on TikTok, I seen this on Facebook, I seen this on Twitter, you know, this is how a man should be, or this is how a woman should be. No, the partner that you are with, they are supposed to act in according to what works for both of y'all, and vice versa. You're supposed to make her life comfortable, or his life comfortable, or whoever life comfortable, and vice versa. That's it. Live the life that is meant for y'all, not for what social media wants to dictate your life to be.
And that's just it, because I had another friend on here,
Mm-hmm.
uh, Johnny Tapia. He was on here. I think it was a while ago. It was like episode like 9. Your episode 31,
Nice.
and appreciate it. And he was talking about he has a cleaning business,
Mm-hmm.
and I said, "Oh, so where'd you get the idea for this?" He goes, "I seen an idea on TikTok. I said I can do that, and I can do it better." And he started a business. So instead of using social media for the negative energy that you can make it have,
Mm-hmm.
why not use that for positive reinforcement, right? Why not use that to find something? Now, from an idea he's seen on TikTok, he's got a whole business,
Yeah.
a successful cleaning business. Within a month's time, he had like 45 clients in the New York City area. So we have to find a way to get away from that, and it's not, and it takes more than just a few people. The idea that people can't be positive comes from within how culture tells us,
Yep.
and how you even said, like if you're looking at something on social media and someone says X, Y, and Z, that's what they follow. But that's not who it should be. You shouldn't be looking up to those people,
Yeah.
because they'll, I even try and tell my kids, like, yo, don't look up to this TikToker. You know, if you want to aspire to be a TikToker, right, or do something that's going to help you, okay. But you should be looking up to someone more who can help you gravitate. So my oldest daughter, Brenda, she's going to be 13 in November. She loves Simone Biles. So now she started watching about her. Now she wants to take up gymnastics. She's naturally good without any training. So
Yeah.
now she's going to do it, So I just try to put them on the right path of that positivity because we don't have enough of it in this world.
Yeah.
I try to be an uplift of that. I try to utilize this aura that I'm told I have around me of just really being able to lift people and put them on, make them feel like there's good people in the world. And I think it's hard for people to do that.
Yeah. And not to cut you off,
no, you good.
but especially like you were saying about aura, there's a lot of people that have an aura to do good and an aura to do bad. And a lot of the times, the people with good aura are the ones that a lot of people that are lost, damaged, trying to find their way gravitate towards.
Mm-hmm.
They're like, what is this warm energy? What does this person know that I don't know? How can I get to this point? And it ultimately is up to us whether we want to help people and guide people to be in better places, or we want to just be like, nah, like, I don't really want to do this. I don't want to be bothered. Like, it's ultimately a choice, and either choice is the right choice, in my opinion, because it's ultimately, do you have the capacity to have a helping hand, or do you still need to do work on yourself before you be that open towards taking energy? Because there's also spiritual leeches out there. There's people that see that good energy and will drain you dry. And it's not even because they mean to, it's because that's all they know. They're just trying to recharge themselves, even if it's at the cost of
you.
Yeah, even if it's at the cost of you, it's just like, and you're like, oh man, but I was doing the right thing, but it just don't. I feel so tired because you're pouring into that, and you're pouring into that broken vase. So everything is seeping out, but they're still trying to take, because they don't know how to patch themselves up first before they're like, oh, okay, now let me try to be better. Let me try to learn from you, and let me feel what it is that you're trying to tell me and show me, and let me be better. So it's very like, aura is a real thing. Having the energy to change the things around you is so powerful. Like, even myself, I know I have a very strong aura, but I tend to mask it. And part of the reason is I don't like to attract attention, but I know I am probably the tallest person in the room half the time I step into a room. So it's just like, all right, people are going to be attracted towards me. But for the most part, I'm not a person that's being bright and bubbly. And it's not that I'm not a bright person. It's not that I'm not a warming person, but it's just, I like to be concealed in moments. And I like to see what it is around me before I introduce myself as who I am, or I'm just going to be the reserved, laid back person that I like to be. So, but yeah.
And it's like kind of wild because even so, like I don't know if you heard if you were in there during, I got to pull this up about, like, I utilize that with a lot of different things. So I'm a huge Big Sean fan, and his relationship with words is real special. And you said earlier about being on, if you want to be famous, like, you have to do X, Y, and Z. Like, if that's what you want to do or have that clout, okay. And then you just said that, kind of how, like, people utilize that energy, right? They take your energy. But it's the same thing, and I just compliment those two to this saying, where he was talking about money. He has a song on his album called Million Pieces. And he says, I used to want to be a millionaire for shit, like a million reasons. And then it came with a million leeches that want that many pieces. Lawyers, taxes, state taxes, agents, assistants, managers, business managers, fees and damages, plus somebody else to make sure they're not scamming us. Shit'll have you depressed checking your balances. Luckily, it's me. I know how to balance it. And I think, like, even so, that saying, even if we're not talking about money, it's the same thing. It holds the same prowess. It holds the same basis because you know, you can say I want to know X amount of people for X amount of reasons, and it comes with that many leeches, right? Because friends, you could say instead of saying lawyers, taxes, state tax, you could say, you could say friends, mother, father, daughter, son, sister, brother, aunt, uncle. Like it all comes down to people are going to take energy from you, regardless of if you want them to or if you don't want them to. It's all about how we control that energy.
Yeah. Side
Control.
note, Big Sean probably one of the more underrated artists in 2000 during that 2010s with that
Oh,
freshman class. One of the more because I've had to sit back and listen to Big Sean and be like, oh nah, Big Sean is one of them ones too.
absolutely. You listen to some of the things he says, even in like freestyles, like when he said on Funk Flex 5 P's, proper preparation prevents poor performance. Like, what?
Hmm.
Like some of the things that he says, and people just don't listen. That it just frustrates me. They'll hear this stupid beat and they'll be like, "Oh, that's great," but you ain't listening to the words. You gotta. People don't want to feel like, to your point, how you were talking about R&B, right? And how it's not the same. How it's not the same. People ain't talking about love and things like that. A lot of hip hop is the same way, or rap.
Yeah.
Like I said, that made me mad. Like I was talking to Yellow Pound Cake, and she was like, she heard what I heard when you started
Hmm.
spitting, and she was like, "Nah, this ain't his crowd. This ain't his crowd," because he was spitting,
Yeah, she
and
came up
she's
to me after. She was like, "Yeah, nah, they wasn't hearing what I was hearing. They don't get it." And I was like, "Yeah, you're absolutely right." And I already knew too when I went to perform What's the Motive. I knew the crowd I was coming into, they wasn't going to be prepared for that because I'm like, everything that I'm saying, I know it's going to resonate to the few in the crowd that understand it, been through it, seen something. They gonna get it.
But here's the thing, and listen, I'm gonna okay, I'm gonna put it to you. Here's how I see music, and you're gonna definitely have to come back because I've asked you like 6 questions on this interview. We're having just to chop it up. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. I'm appreciating it, but at
Mhm.
minimum, I want to get to the CMOS business because I had questions that I don't understand about
I got
CMOS.
you.
So, okay, here's the thing about music. Now, I haven't been through what you've been through, right?
Mhm.
But here's what the beauty of music is. I'm going to use Illmatic as an example. When I when I listen to music and I'm listening to lyrics and I close my eyes and I'm going to take my glasses off and close my eyes
Mhm.
and I'm listening. I'm going to use It Ain't Hard to Tell. And at the end, when he says Nas's rap should be locked in a cell, it ain't hard to tell. That gave me goosebumps just thinking about that bar. Good music is being able to close your eyes, listen to the lyrics, and visualize what the artist is saying.
Yep.
Even though I haven't been through it, if I can feel what you're saying and I can visualize it through your words,
Mhm.
then you've done a great job. Poetry is the same way.
Yeah.
Now, fun fact, I used to write poetry back in the day. I kind of stopped over the years. But the same thing. If I can close my eyes and visualize everything that's being said, and I can see a vivid picture, that's success. And a lot of people, they don't want to use their brains when listening to music, when listening to poetry. Because I know you said R&B has been like a dying breed, but let me tell you, there are some artists out here on the R&B tip. They ain't doing what we're used to, like
Yeah.
90s. That's done. Like, we ain't gonna get that, but there are people out here like Cleo Soul, Tiana Taylor, Kalani, Janae and Nico. God, I think I said Cleo Soul.
Mhm.
What's that? Victoria Monet. There are artists out here who are really putting passion in their music. And a lot of those artists, they're not being looked at, but they're not also putting themselves out there. Because artists, let's be real, they don't make as much money on their music as they should. Not like
Nah,
back
not in
in
the
the day.
slightest. It's a crime too, because it's like that's another artist I have a lot of respect for because he's independent. Is Joyner Lucas.
Oh
Joyner
yeah,
Lucas, the way he went about it, it's perfect. You make your money, you drop your music, you have your fan base, you're set. Like
absolutely.
I'm like, yeah, genius. Because if you try to get with labels, half the time these labels are gonna try to rip you off. They're gonna try to get most of the benefits, and it's dirty work out here.
Absolutely, which is, it's the same. It's really anything, right?
Hmm.
Because like right now, there's someone possibly who wants to do some business with me in this show. So now I need to find someone who can help me make sure I'm not doing something stupid,
Yeah.
you know, because okay, you want me to come in and do whatever, right?
Hmm.
Cool. I got no problem with that. But the thing is, how much you gonna want? That's the thing. So I have to figure out all that. I have a person, like a lot of people have offered to help me, but there's one specific person who I've already decided that's who I want. She said I had to wait, and I will patiently wait. So if you really want me to come do what you need me to do, you need to wait till my representation, that said person is ready to be hired, and then they can review everything, and we can go from there. Because
Absolutely.
that's the thing, like I don't understand all that business savvy stuff, but I know there's a lot of slime balls out there.
Man, listen. So it's a lot of slime balls,
Talk,
and also the and I also say like, and it's something I started doing is just learning how to read legal paperwork
yeah,
because that'll save you so much in the long run. Is understanding legal terminology and how a lot of the times they get over on people because we don't understand the legal terminology. And it's like even just like proofreading and proofreading again and looking up whatever words you got to look up and piecing everything together. Even if you got to do stuff like that, like you take as long as you can until you fully understand whatever is being presented in front of you.
absolutely. And you have to really understand the fine print of everything, and that's how
Hmm.
they get you. Like I remember, you ever watched the movie they did on NWA?
Yeah.
I think it's called. I think they named it Straight Outta Compton. There was a part where they were making all their music, and they had no contract, so
Hmm.
they weren't being paid properly. Excuse me. So Ice Cube kept asking for the contracts, Where are contracts? Where are contracts? He finally gives it to him, and he's like, "Yo, I don't understand any of this." And he's like, "Just sign it. It'll be fine." He's like, "Nah, I ain't signing this. I don't know what it means." And I think that's another thing that people aren't knowledgeable about, right?
Hmm.
Is that about that kind of stuff, reading that terminology and saying, okay, because you might sign something and you just agreed to give away 60% of your money,
Yep.
talking about like this bar, Million Leeches, like that's for real. You look at it, he ain't lying. Lawyers, the taxes, agents, assistants, managers, because when you look at it, and I said on the sports show, I use this for an affirmation because Steph Curry signed a 1 year, $62 million deal, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a lot of money, especially for 1 year. But when you look at all that he's got to pay, you're probably looking at half of that money,
Yeah.
you know?
Not to
It's,
mention California state tax.
oh, it's worse than New York,
Yep.
you know? So, whew, I've enjoyed this. I'm enjoying this. I got to say that. But there's couple specific music questions I have to ask now.
All right.
Actually, first, I got to know what is the story behind your stage name?
That's a great question. So, Hood Soul wasn't originally my first stage name. When I first started rapping in high school, it was Game Changers, and I found it really corny. I was like, yeah, Game Changers, because I'm gonna change the game. Like that was literally the whole premise of it. And luckily, as I matured as an artist, I was like, nah, I think Hood Soul is what fits me. And the premise behind it was just wanting to be an embodiment of the hood, but not only the bad, but the good, and letting people know that there is soul in the hood. Like there are people here that are creative, that are bright, that have a story to tell, and not everyone gets the chance to tell their story. A lot of us leave this earth before we get a chance to tell our story. So
Right.
like that was really the premise of my name was I want to be able to tell the story that others didn't get a chance to tell, and I want to do that through music. So anytime I write something, for the most part, it's like it's a memory of people that have not had a chance to, or it's based on a lot of experience that I've went through, and just life in itself. So
That's a deep rooted answer to and it embodies who you are and who your music is. I had to make sure I asked that question because it's just really an embodiment to who you are as an individual and as an artist.
I appreciate that. I've never actually been asked what the meaning behind my stage name was. So yeah.
Nah, I appreciate that. Listen, I ain't been doing this a long time, but trust me, I be learning from our local people like Moochie. I watch her.
Mhm.
Gabriel Rivera. He does Finally TV. I watch him. I watch Drink Champs. I watch Club Shay Shay. I watch Joe Budden. I watch wrestling podcasts because I'm a huge wrestling fan. I just really just try and I do research on the internet. Like I said, this is what I'm doing. This
You
is
know, a podcast that I truly have in my top tier of podcasts. It's called The Pivot.
that's the one. Is that the one with
Yep.
Ryan Clark
Yep.
and
And
I
and
forget the other
Fred,
guy's name?
Ryan, Shannon, and Fred. When I tell you that's the one podcast I've like gone into and I've watched every single episode they've dropped because it's so well put together. A lot of the times when they have the athletes on there, especially with football, because I love football, so it's like, all
Oh
right,
yeah,
we're hearing about the football side of things, but then they just dig into life in a way that's so special. And like even seeing three black positive men, all have a podcast like that where they show vulnerability. You know, they do shed tears. They do talk about real stories. Like there was one episode and it was Fred Taylor, and Fred Taylor was just talking about losing his grandmother, and he broke down in tears, and it hit me so hard because um I lost my grandmother back in 2015 around Thanksgiving, and
sorry
Maze Moss.
to hear that.
Sorry, I appreciate it. Maze Moss. May was her middle name,
Okay,
so Maze Moss is that's my memory to her, and it was because she was a woman that, one, her faith in God. I don't think I ever met anybody to this day that had a faith like hers, even when she was going through the darkest of her times, and when the devil was testing her at the most, she called out to God. She'd break out in prayer. She would speak in tongues, and it was just so amazing because I didn't have that same connection at the time. Like I my road my road with God and my road on my spiritual road has been very rocky. There's been more times than not that I've cursed at
Oh,
God. There's been more
oh,
times that it's been more times at night, more times that at times that I'm like, God, why would you put me through this situation, or why have you forsaken me? Like I've said some shit to God, and
ooh,
but I've also had to realize every step of the way, I am one of your strongest soldiers. I have to understand that a lot of these are my trials and tribulations, so I can get to the
absolutely.
point where I could speak my testimony. So my grandmother was that person, and you know, this year Thanksgiving will be 9 years since I lost her, but that's what inspired Maze Moss was because she was the person that believed in helping everybody be the best version of themselves. And with Maze Moss, I feel like that's my way of doing it too. Like I'm giving people something that's healthy for your body and helping your body be reinvigorated and transform and become that better version of yourself that you need to be for not only you, but for your family, your friends down the line as well. And to kind of bridge into like what CMOS does. CMOS provides your body with 92 out of the 102 minerals you need. It supports healthy blood. It supports healthy heart function, regulates blood sugar, blood pressure, blood cholesterol, helps with muscle and joint recovery. Also has taurine in it, which helps with muscle building.
Mm.
Uh, has anti-inflammatory properties, also has neuroprotective properties that have been shown to help alleviate stress, promotes clear skin, promotes hair growth. Uh, it also has anti-aging properties as well, and I can go on and on about the benefits of sea moss. What got me personally into doing it was a couple years ago. I was overworking myself, not paying attention to my health, and I was going through chest pains. And finally, I went to the hospital because I was having tightness in my chest. Chest was really hurting. So went to the hospital, um, got hooked to an EKG machine, and they were basically telling me my CPK levels are through the roof. I forgot the full pronunciation of how to explain CPK, but basically it's when your body has too much lactic acid and it starts to break down your muscles.
Right.
Um, so I was dealing with that, and the doctor was like, if you didn't come in, you would have ended up having kidney failure and a heart attack. So during that time I was there, my blood pressure hit 270 over 160. That's past
Ooh,
stroke range. So the nurse was like, "Are you okay? You all right?" And I'm like, "Oh yeah, I'm fine. I'm fine."
you
And I
feel
really was.
fine.
I really was fine. But that was also the conditions that I was working under, being under so much stress. Like that's where my blood pressure was. Like I had hypertension. So once the midnight hour came, because I had my friends and family come visit me, and I'm sitting there cracking jokes and laughing, like, because when you're a strong person, you're just like, nah, I'm good, I'm fine, I'm good, I'm fine. But it's not till you in that hospital room by yourself and you're like, I, I really did it to myself this time.
Mm-hmm.
And, and with that, because I'm not big on modern medicine, I'm not big on prescription drugs. I'm very big on the holistic and the natural.
Natural.
So that's when I came across Dr. Sebi, started looking through videos of his and seeing him talk about CMOS and seeing what it's done for his body. And I was like, all right, I'll give this a shot. So the first year I was taking it, I didn't mix any fruit or anything with it. I just took it plain, the plain gel, nasty. But I was like, you know what? Like I'm doing this for my health. So I was doing that. I started working out again. I started trying to cut back on processed foods and things that I was eating at the time. And I was just like, you know what, let me get myself back to where I need to be. And I was doing that. And then I started learning how to blend the fruits and making it taste better. So once I did that, I was like, all right, bet. And I was like, you know what, let me do this into a business. And then I was thinking of a name, and I was like, Maze Moss. So like me and my sister Britt, like we were talking about it, and she was like, yeah. I was like, Maze Moss. And then that's when I started talking about the logo. I always wanted it to be hands. And then my sister was like, you know, it should be my grandmother's favorite flower, which was a lily. The lily is that's the flower that's within the hands, and then we were like health and healing. And brainstormed it a lot because I wanted that logo to mean something. I didn't want it to only just be like a regular logo. I was like, no, these are my grandmother's hands. And my grandmother's hands was always open to all and always open to helping. So doing that, and so now this gets into how much I was selling my sea moss for. When I first started doing my sea moss, I sold it for $10. I was selling it.
Seems
I was
kind
selling
of
it.
seems real low.
It was real low because I started looking up stuff, and people sell their jars for $40 a time, and I was like, dang, I really was lowballing myself. And it was such a struggle for me to even do $25 a jar because I'm like, but you know, people might not be able to afford it and boom, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, you know, the people that are meant to afford it, they'll afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And when I get to a point to where I can start giving out stuff, the people that I want to see healthy and they really need it, I got you. And I still do that now anyway. Like some people, I'm like, all right, like so even like I make sea moss gels, I make sea moss juices, and I do body butters. Um, I'm working on making a hair conditioner with sea moss. So you
Okay.
got the inside scoop right now, and whoever on
Okay.
this live.
Appreciate it.
Um, so that's something else I've been working on. I made a shampoo. Still gotta fully fix out the kinks of that. But whenever I have certain, like, because I'll do custom flavors, and I won't charge too much extra, but I'll do custom flavors for people. And also, if somebody tells me that they're dealing with diabetes, or maybe they're dealing with lupus, or something of that sort, I will do my research into finding whatever fruit, whatever herb helps aid and help you deal with the symptoms of what you have. That way, not only am I giving you sea moss, but I'm giving you fruits that'll also add into that effect to try to combat whatever you're dealing with. So I
Wow.
had one client that she had she had high blood sugar, and I think hers was in the 500s, and she started taking my sea moss, and it dropped from 500 to 109. And she called me one day, and she was just like, you know, I want to thank you. I want to thank you. And she was like, you know, I wasn't able to wear heels for a long time, and now I can wear heels. Like, I
Wow.
can dance with my husband. And it was just such a beautiful testimony to receive because when I do this from the kindness of my heart. Yes, I want to
Mm-hmm.
get paid for it because I want to be my own businessman and have my own business. But I also appreciate the smiles that I see from everyone when I get a phone call or I get a message and they're like, "Oh man, this tastes amazing. Oh, this feels good. Oh, this is doing everything it needs to do for me." And I'm like, "Yes." But I also tell people, CMOS is only one aspect of your health. It does a lot. It is a great superfood, 1,000,000%. But how many hours of sleep are you getting? How much water are you drinking? What is the food that you're intaking? Are
Mm-hmm.
you eating too many carbs? Are you eating too many fatty foods? Are you at McDonald's all day? Are you at Wendy's? Are you at Burger King? Are you
Mm-hmm.
learning to meal prep for yourself? That way it's easier for you to wane yourself off of wanting fast food all the time. Because that's another thing I started doing. Started meal prepping. Because I wanted to be a chef at one point in my life. I didn't do it, but I ended up doing catering and then learning more from the chef I was working with. So like I love to cook.
Yeah.
Cooking, that's my thing. Find a recipe and make it 10 times better than what the recipe said. And so like a lot of the times with me, I'm like, all right, practice what I preach. So I started meal prepping every day,
Yeah.
going to the gym, trying to do things that I need to do. Even if the visual effects may not look different, I feel it internally. And that's another thing that I have to tell the people too. Like people people will always notice how you look before you notice how you look. So there's times where I'm like, oh, I'm still big, I still look the same. But there's mad people that be like, nah, you lost weight. Nah, you look great. You look good. Like it's all working out for you. And I'm like, all right, cool, that's what's up. But the biggest thing about being on this fitness journey, being on this, matter of fact, having a lifestyle of fitness and eating healthy and healing yourself is understanding that it is a journey. There will be good days and there will be bad days. There will be there'll be step backs, but then there'll be step ups. It's it's fluctuating, and that's just the process of healing in general. It is an
Yeah.
ever fluctuating line. It's nothing linear about it. You up one day, you down the next day, but you get back up and you keep going. And once you have that concept understood, it'll be so much easier for you to move forward with it. Because that's my main thing. I'm like, listen, I'll have some bad days, I still smile. I'll have my good days and still smile. I'll
Well,
always, mhm.
you always what?
Like I'm always trying to find my way to move forward. Because even in my darkest hours, I smile.
It's interesting because one of my favorite lines is, you remember obviously Ti, his best album is for me Paper Trail,
Oh,
best album.
oh yeah, oh yeah.
Um, and he has that song there, you know what? And there's a bar on there where he goes, "Smile like I'm fine, brag with such passion, and shine without trying." And a lot of people don't know me. I suffer from depression and anxiety.
Hmm.
A lot of people wouldn't be able to tell because if you see me in public, I'm a generally happy and outgoing person. And, that's just a testament to who I am as an individual. But sometimes transparency is medication, right?
Hmm.
And I think that through that in all you're saying, and you kind of answered like the next five questions with that. Like it's so what's crazy is look, I swear is what's crazy is every guest has always just segued to the next like set of topics, and I was gonna ask, why'd you name it Maze Moss? You answered that. You answered what sea moss is. I was going to ask what it does for you. You answered that. You and then I was going to ask why you decided to start a sea moss business. You answered that. So you answered four questions. So that's why I was just like, oh, it's class time. I was just letting you have the floor, bro. Like
See,
there's
and
you
that
know
right there, like that's the beauty of when you do have a podcast setting like this, to where it's more predicated on the person you're interviewing. They're just flowing, and then as they're flowing, they're everything you had on your checklist is being checked off.
right.
Because usually, whenever there's a certain format for a podcast and people have questions, your questions will be answered without you even having to say anything. Because
Absolutely.
when there's good energy, um, and like it's just a good vibe, it's a regular like conversation. That's part of the reason why I like the pivot too. The pivot, it's just free flowing, it's open. Like they have their questions here and there, kind of like what you did. You throw your question in and whatnot, but for the most part, everything's being answered, and it's just
Right.
nice. And going off of what you said about you know having anxiety and depression, but still being in the room being happy. Channing Crowder, he's the jokester on the pivot, but he also was saying he opened up too. He was like, sometimes we got to check on the happiest person in the room because they're the ones that's going through it the most, but we just got to keep smiling. And I understood that completely because I'm the same as you, suffer with anxiety and depression, and I didn't realize that's what it was till my adult years. Because, growing up black household, mental illness, like mental health is never really talked about. So usually it's just like, you'll be all right. Like,
Yeah.
you'll be good. All right, tough it up. You'll be all right. So we, especially a lot of times in black men, it's always the only emotion we are ever truly able to show without hesitation is anger.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very dangerous for us because usually our anger supersedes all type of logic. Because now everything can go out the window. Every body I see, you can all fly with the birds. Because now I'm just at a point to where there's no turning back. And it's a constant battle that I've had to learn as I've kept growing with myself, as I kept trying to be better than what I was yesterday. And also realizing that in some of the relationships I've been in with women, it's like you also find yourself when you suppress so much, you try to please them as much as possible because
Yeah.
you want to make sure they're happy no matter what,
Yeah.
even if it's at
Exactly.
the detriment to yourself. And a lot of times they don't see that sacrifice because they're just where they are and they don't want to sacrifice. And I'm not saying this is for all women,
No.
but just my personal
You're
experience, what I've been
based
through.
on what you've been through.
Yeah, because I know it happens vice versa with women. Women will do their best that they can, and their partner wants to see it. And it's really tough dealing with a lot of that. And that's why I also tell people whenever you've been in a relationship like that where you've given so much and it shatters you, you take time alone. You don't go into anything else. You don't date anybody else for a while. You get to healing, get to working on yourself. Figure out why is it that you can only have this one emotion, or why do you struggle with expressing all your other emotions? Why do you struggle with transparency? Why do you struggle with being open and honest, especially with men? Why do we struggle with being open and honest? And I know the answer because I've had my honesty thrown back in my face.
Yeah.
I've been in that argument where it's like, oh, X, Y, and Z gets thrown back to my face, and I share that. I confided in you.
You share it from a place, and this is the thing about, like, my wife will say to me, like, I was going, I like, okay, I'm gonna just be fully transparent. I've done it before. 2020, Naj Murphy dies.
Yeah,
That shit hurt me bad. And it made me question my belief in God, made me question my belief in life, made me question everything, right? So when I found out my wife had been having some issues on her inside, she couldn't keep any food down. It was like 4 days. And I was like pressing her, like, go to the hospital. But sometimes she's very stubborn. I'm like, just go. Like, because so then I got to a point where it was like, yo, she was complaining about it. I said, listen, the next words out of your mouth isn't let's go to the hospital. Don't complain. I don't want to hear it.
hmm
Because you've been in pain and you're living in pain. It's not going away. So now, mind you, this is the beginning of 2020. This is January 7th. So, like, COVID was there, but we didn't know what it was yet.
yeah,
So the emergency room is fucking loaded. It's full. So it was a Tuesday. At this time, every Tuesday, I would have a weekly conversation with my mother. We went to the emergency room, bro, at like 2 in the afternoon. It's like 7:30, and we haven't been seen. So my mom calls. I'm hungry. I said, listen, I'm starving. Can I go get some food? Will it bother you? She goes, no, I'll call you if they take me in. Said, probably not, whatever. So I go out. I go to Five Guys. I eat. I eat in the car. Come back. Go back inside. Walk through the metal detector. Sit down. So open up my phone. and all I see is literally no lie, 53 statuses that say "Rest in peace, Naj Murph." I'm losing my damn mind now. I'm like all these emotions hit at one time.
Mm-hmm.
I was upset. I was sad. I was angry. I didn't know nothing. Like so, like, and then Messenger just went nuts. Everyone's asking me what happened. I said I haven't spoken to the family. How am I supposed to know? Like, who knows if they even know? So fast forward, we keep going that night. I'm sitting there bawling, like oh my gosh, blubbering, like I'm like really messed up. So, and mind you, we weren't married at the time. We weren't even engaged. You know, me and her sitting in the hospital. She's in pain, and then um, and I'm just going through this. So the more messed up part is this was the day before her birthday. So the next day, I finally get into the room. No lie,
Mm-hmm.
bro. It's at this point it's like 3 a.m. Get into the room. I'm like they're keeping her. I'm like, all right. So I'm like they're like, but you can't stay because of where the room was. So I'm like, all right. So like I'm exhausted. I've been crying for hours. I'm still upset. I'm still confused, asking God why. Like I'm just all over the place. Go home. The next day, um, the next day, she she what you call it? The next day, they kept her in the hospital, and she says to me, "Oh, she wants to see the kids." So, well, Chanel Davenport put together like a candle lighting of sorts for him. So I wanted to go, but she wanted to see the kids. So then she says to me in a text, and I'll never forget it, and I'll never get. She goes, you know, you've had this on your mind all day. She goes like, I know I can't be on your mind all the time, but Naj is just on your mind. And I said, you have the fucking audacity to say that to me? My best friend just died, and I have no right to be upset. You're telling me, and that kind of just put it. I felt at that moment. Now I think she was speaking from a place of being upset with her circumstance, right? But inside of me, that was offensive, extra offensive, because it's like, damn, like I wasn't opening up or being transparent. I had no choice given the circumstances. At that time, I wasn't working that much because it was cold. It was COVID. At this point, she's going through that. I'm having issues with other things. There's so much going on. My kids are going all over. There's just so much happening at one time. And I think, and I think for a man, it's really hard and really difficult for us to have transparency, to be open, to be honest, and to be who we are. And it's things like that that really touch us a certain way and hit that nerve to where, you know, now it's at a point where like I was going through something a few months ago and I didn't want to talk. She's like, talk to me. I said, no, because you've already preemptively, it's gotten easier, but you've preemptively put that process in my head that I can't talk to you. I can't, open up to you. It's hard for a man to open up to like another man, right? Like, but to open up to a woman, especially your woman, because when they get upset, they utilize that to throw it in your face.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's just like, damn, like, is that really how you feel? Because the 2 times you tell the truth the most is when you're upset and when you're drunk.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's something I always have on my mind and something I always think about. I said the moment a man opens up is when a casket closes.
Mm.
And whether that be your own casket or losing a loved one. That is when all of our emotions seem to surface at once. Because grief is the only thing that seems to be the catalyst for us to fully open up, because now we are fully shattered. Our walls are broken down. We can no longer mask any of the pain that we are holding because we lost something so important. So now everything is happening at once. Like you said, you were feeling all of these different emotions just because we don't feel them on a regular basis. Everything is always so bottled up and caged in to where when we finally do express, it's all hellfire. There's no easing our way into anything because we haven't had time to regulate shit. We don't know how to regulate shit.
Mm-hmm.
So it gets to a point now to where you're like, dang, like I did all that. Like same way you exploded at your wife and you were in a vulnerable spot. She was still dealing with everything she was dealing with. But now a different way to have handled that, if you were able to regulate, is like, sweetheart, listen, I am grieving the loss of my friend. And
Right.
I am here for you for what you are going through too. But I need a moment. It changes the whole dynamic of the situation when you
Right.
use the right words.
And the whole
Words have power.
and the tone as well, because if
Yes.
you come off aggravated or upset or angry,
Hmm.
that's gonna be like, it's just gonna be, the claws. But if you just kind of calmly demean, but like you said, it's all about how you say it and compartmentalizing that stuff, right?
Yeah.
Trying to just say, okay, just take each piece and just break it into other smaller pieces to be able to visualize and convey your
Yep.
message. Because I think, like, I have this thing I want to start. I can't. Oh no, I don't think I have the picture available. So I've been, recently been talking about mental health and how it's important, and so I wanted to start a circle for men to talk. And I made a logo for it. I'm just trying to
Like
find it.
a healing circle.
Yeah, yeah. I want
Please
to
let me
be.
know when you start that. I have stuff written down. I was trying to work on a curriculum for that, but if you kick that off, I promise you, I'll send you all the information that I got because that's so needed for us, and
Here it is.
it's needed in general for men. And ooh,
I'm just
that's fire.
I'm just calling it the circle, a safe space. And yeah, no, if you want to join, I have a few friends. They kind of want to keep it small, but the thing is, I know a lot of men, and originally I just wanted to be black men, but then I started realizing that there were other that men needed. Period. Right. I have another friend, and he's kind of going through the same thing. Like pretty much his wife, his girlfriend, they're not married. She cheated on him like 12 years ago. And she got pregnant. Didn't know if the kid was his or the other guy's. Ironically, they were both named Mike. So ended up being the other guy's kid. He takes her back, takes her back, raises the kid, helps with the kid. Then they have two kids. I think now they're like the two kids they had, they're recent. They're 4 and 3. 2 years ago, he was giving her the money to pay the mortgage on the house. Well, they call him up one day at work, like, hey, we haven't received a payment for a mortgage from you for 2 months. He's like, I've been giving the money to, a girlfriend. She's supposed to be paying it. Well, like, she ain't paying it. Come to find out, she was pocketing his money. And now took her back again, kept her on through that. And then after that, now he's gone on, and recently some stuff's been going on in his house, but she's cheating on him again. And I know part of it is he don't want to lose his kids, and he doesn't want to lose everything because he's gonna lose everything,
Yeah.
even though they're not married, and that's why, because he doesn't have anyone to talk to, and I think this is needed for these men, for us men, to just really talk, because even if we're not talking to our wives or or girlfriends, hell, some of them might have boyfriends. I don't discriminate. If you're not talking to your significant other, if we can at least even come into a room, like I could do Zoom, but I feel like having that in person, you know, seeing people and feeling their body language, that'll be important. So
Yeah.
it's something I wanted to start this year, but I might still be able to do it, but it's definitely
I'm
something I'm
about
going
to
to
say,
start.
we only in September. We got time.
Yeah, yeah, it's just really, right now I work in Nabisco, starting to get busy, and it's just the timing and with the
Yeah.
podcast, photography. I've got so many different things I'm doing, and I bring this out every episode. But this is my vision board for 2024, and
Nice.
I've tapped into about 80% of this board. Well, it's upside down, but either way you wouldn't be able to see it. But I've tapped into about 20% of this board or 80% of this board, because it's all about having a vision, having a purpose, and I think that's what we need is more people to be visionaries, be purposeful, and live in their purpose, and not just be here to be here.
Yeah. So my one piece for the wellness circle, I suggest, if it's possible,
Mm-hmm.
having one licensed therapist in the room. They don't have to announce themselves, but they could just be in the room so that way they can give feedback as they hear the conversations. So now not only is it a place where you're releasing and venting,
Right.
you're also getting the proper tools to learn how to cope and be better because of that. So that was like when I was in the planning stages of this, and like I have like a couple of things written out because I was making a whole curriculum of like topics and things like that. I was like, that right there would be so vital because therapy is taboo to us too. We don't believe we need a therapist. We don't want to sit and talk to someone that's essentially it is in a way it's a judgment, but it's good judgment. It's like, okay, where can we fix? What can we improve upon?
Right.
Not necessarily what you're doing wrong. It's that, but it's like, all right, how do we get better? And people have to start looking at therapy like that as a whole, like, oh, this is what I need so I can be a better person for not only me, but for whoever, all the people I love, be better in my workplace, and just be able to be happy and genuinely smile and genuinely move forward. And we need coping skills. A lot of us as men don't have coping skills or good coping mechanisms. Me personally, for a long time, my coping mechanism was work, 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 work. Basically, work till I die.
Yeah.
And almost came to that point. So it's like, I can't run away that way. I have to look inside. I have to be internal with myself, and I have to be honest with myself. What is it that's making me unhappy? How do I improve upon it? And the moment I started doing that, the moment change started to happen, things started to shift because now it's like, oh, okay, I tackled this little piece. All right, I tackled that little piece. And it's going to take time. That is the biggest thing that everyone has to understand is it's going to take time. It is not an overnight thing. This ain't no Cinderella story. It's not going to be magical. It's going to be rough. You're
Yeah.
going to be in the mud more times than you're going to be clean. And it's
Oh
all
yeah.
good. You just got to work your way through it. And like I used to do motivational videos just talking about stuff like that and really explaining it because the human mind is so complex when it comes to trauma. of people don't realize, when you are feeling the negative emotion of trauma, or you're feeling depressed, or you're feeling anxiety, the best thing you can do is release it in some form of physical manner that is not harming yourself or harming others. Whether that's a punching bag, going for a run, working out, push ups, sit ups, dancing, whatever you can possibly do to shake that feeling out your body and release that energy, that is what you do. For
Absolutely.
me, I got a heavy bag. If I'm really feeling pissed off that day, I'm working on a combination. If I'm feeling pissed off, I'm going to the gym. If I'm feeling pissed off, I'm running. I don't like running, but I'll run. Running ain't for big people, but I still do it. I'm like, let's
That's
get
it.
it. Let's go. We got to do this. We got to keep going. Because not only am I getting my workout in, but I'm also releasing all of that, all of those negative emotions that I was feeling. Now it's being burned out. Not a positive, all my positive endorphins is hitting. And it's like, all right, yeah, I'm good now. I feel good now. Instead of harboring all of those negative emotions. So that's another thing with the wellness circle. Like, and this is just me talking about like the plans I had. Like, it's gonna be all right. We do some push-ups, or one day we go running, and then we just sit down somewhere and talk. We go for a hike and then sit talk, like different locations. It don't always got to be just in a room and we sitting together. It could, we outside, or we go to dinner and we just all sitting there talking, conversating over food. And it's like, all right, cool. You shed some tears over your food. It's all right. It's water. You can eat it still, but just like, just having those different places to just talk and be yourself and be free. And then also realizing now you are forming this brotherhood. Now you are forming this network of people to where if you are feeling dark and alone at night, you have someone you can genuinely call and be like, yo, this is what's going on in my mind. You got time
Yeah.
to talk? Of course. Got you, brother, man. What's up? Talk. Talk your friend off the ledge. All right, I needed that. I appreciate it. Because there's been plenty of nights I've had to talk people off the edge.
Right.
And it's like, yeah, I'm here. That's what I'm here for. Because I don't ever want you to feel like you alone. Because you ain't never alone. If you're a friend of mine, I got you. We're going to figure this thing out.
One way or another. And I think it's, I guess, in a sense, maybe I should start it sooner rather than later. Because, I always say I'd rather hear someone's story than go to their funeral.
Exactly.
So I want a couple more things because I'm way over time, but this has been live. I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. So I would like to know real quick back on the music, and I'm gonna have you back on because there's some. You're such a deep brother. We didn't even need the deep rooted questions to get to the deep rooted conversation. Like, like one of the questions, I'm just gonna read you what one of them I came up with. How do you approach controversial topics, and what do you hope to convey? Like I knew I had that feeling that you had that deep rooted stuff. So I definitely want to have you back on and answer some of these questions for sure.
For sure. For sure. I got you.
But I want to know, I've seen a lot of videos and your lyrics are so deep rooted and you really rap with your soul, like legit. When can we expect, or when will there be a full length LP or EP of some sort?
Um, I'm shooting for late October.
Okay.
I'm going to try to lock in studio time in for the month of September. Studio time just be expensive, but like I want to
Ooh,
lock in.
I know.
I'm
Show you
like,
something else.
but I definitely want to, because I want to drop my first EP before the year is out. So like mid late October, and that's going to be more of my street kind of my trenches EP. And then
Okay.
when February come around, everybody about to be crying because I'm putting my EP like my love song EP, and it's gonna vary. It's gonna have a song where it's like, all right, talking about meeting somebody and love is beautiful. It's also gonna have songs where it's like, oh,
That's
it's
that.
sad that we couldn't work out. And then it's also gonna be songs like, why you cheat on me? So it's gonna
It's
be
gonna
that.
so you're showing the different
Hmm.
sides. Well, that leads to this. So I was interviewing Solea like 3 months ago,
Hmm.
and in the midst of that conversation, I just had this idea. It kind of was like an epiphany. Like it just like she said something, and it just came to me, and it came for a new show that's premiering September 9th. And I'm going to show you the logo. Here it is. Oh, it went away. Hold on. Oh, can't hold my phone. I don't know if you can see it, but that says Mike's. To me, it looks backwards. I don't know how it looks to you, but it's Mike's Music Corner.
I can read
The meaning,
backwards, so
the meaning behind the music. And as you can see, there's a microphone with music notes. I made that logo, and people are like, "Oh, you're good at that," but I hate doing it. Like, it takes so much time and effort. Like, ugh.
I was about to say, I get it.
And the idea of this show is artists release a project or a song. I listen to it. I don't know if you've ever seen my music reviews. I really
Hmm.
take my time and break apart everything. So I figured I love music, so I turned it into a show. Why not? So when that project comes, you let me know. And I would love to have you on there so we can talk about your music.
I got you. I got you.
So one thing is I can see that the CMOS business means a lot to you. It means a lot to you. And you said, you started with it, and I'm sure you're doing very well with it. But what are your hopes? Like, what is the key thing you want out of this? Because you say you want to be paid. I understand that. If you're good at
Hmm.
something, you shouldn't do it for free. But you also do it out of the kindness of your heart. But with all the stuff you got between the butters and the lotions and the shampoos, man, you got to get this on some shelves, man. Got to get this on some shelves.
I am I am working on it. I have one
Okay.
store in Chester. They're willing to have my body butters in their store. So I'm trying to get my starting to make some relationships out here in Newburgh and just to get my body butters and stuff on the shelves here. Because truthfully, I want to have a whole skin and hair care line.
Okay.
Like I want to tap into that dimension of one, especially us as men. Like we gotta take care of our skin. I ain't saying you gotta go above and beyond, but we just gotta keep our skin hydrated. Because like my body butter, I'm like, yeah, throw this on you good. Like that's why for the most part, my face is for the most part clear. I don't deal with acne like that.
Yeah.
Um, Also just being hydrated with water and just trying to, because I also have to be a representation of my product. If I look like shit, how are people gonna think my product work?
Like
So
shit.
exactly. So I'm very thorough with how I am, trying to keep up with my appearance and stuff like that. And also just letting everybody know it's like, yeah, like it's good to take care of yourself. A lot of the times people
Totally.
don't take care of themselves because there's that internal issue going on. So now it's like, all right, we get it. It's something that's bothering you on the inside. How do we work through that? So that way your outer appearance and your inner appearance they align. You feel good all the way around. So that's why I'm like, yeah, CMOS inside, help you inside. My body butters for the exterior. So it all goes hand in hand, yin and yang. And I'm very like I'm just very big on that. I'm very big on us taking care of ourselves. Like my full global scale dream for Maze Malls is it's on everybody's shelves. Everybody got it. everybody feels good from it. Everybody benefits from it. And I could sit back on my farm and be like, yeah, we
I
there.
did this.
Yep.
And it's wild because I have some ideas brewing. One idea is I'm about to meet with a guy I'm trying to put together. I'm trying to work with this company to put together a showcase, and but in order to do it in this area, I need a large number of artists, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think the number he's saying is 20. I need 20 artists. I can find 20 artists to put them on a showcase, right?
Yep.
You're on that list, Andromeda's on that list, Pound Cake's on that list. Nickel Plated L is on that list. I mean, there's a lot of people on that list. But my idea is the guy I'm working with is like, listen, you get that list together, and he was like, he sent me the paperwork. The artist doesn't have to pay anything. They fill out the paperwork, the company approves it, they give us the funds, we find a venue, and everyone comes out and performs. Um, so it'd be something like that. But the other thing I want to do is I'm thinking about another event also for next summer. Need a lot of hands, but I want to do like a nice community day, right? But the thing is with this, obviously all the pieces have to be aligned. I have to get into certain rooms and talk to certain people, but I want to put this together, but I want as many local businesses to be there. As many as I can get. Because I think one thing about being in a community is we don't know what everyone else is doing,
Yeah.
right? And it's not that people aren't promoting it, it's that people aren't seeing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I want you there with your sea moss and your butters and your creams. I want Angie there with all her clothing line. I want
Mm-hmm.
Sleep Monkey there. I want Happy Tree there. You know what I'm saying? I want I have a backdrop that I have. I just haven't been able to hang it properly, so I haven't been using it.
Yeah.
But the girl who made it, her name's Teresa Bryant. She has her business is called Journey Grace Events, I believe. You want these kind of people. I want these people in one area because for me, if I'm going to get something done or I want a certain thing, I'm going to say, okay, I'd rather have this person do it. Not because they're going to charge me a lower price or not because they do it this way or that way, but because I know them, I believe in their vision, and I want to support them.
Mm-hmm.
That's the key. Me, I plan on selling merchandise for this show, my sports show, and I have another clothing line on the way. I plan to put all this together, and I just want to do something that can help the community, that can help everyone be better. And we switch business cards and we do all these things because as a community, we don't know everyone who's doing everything. We don't.
Yeah.
So the idea is to get everyone in one location, do it, and then have an understanding. Of course, you want food vendors there, right? You want, I'd love to see, maybe it can be in like Downing Park where you can set up something. So maybe some people will perform some songs, dance, whatever. Just have a good time. And I think it's something that we need to do as a community, something that people is just having the knowledge, right? Like
Mm-hmm.
once you have the knowledge of it, it's then okay, how do we get there? And I learned that from when Jay-Z met with the NFL when all the black people were mad that he was meeting with the NFL. Because they're like, well, why is he's supposed to be on our side? Why is he meeting with them? But since that meeting, what those people don't realize is that every year since there's been a black artist at the halftime of the Super Bowl. He made Meek Mill and Rhapsody sponsors or speakers for the NFL through that. People don't look at those things. They just see, oh, he's working with these people, but we need a seat at those tables. So then when we get a seat at that table, we can create our own table.
Yeah.
So I wanted to say, for anyone who's looking for you, for your sea moss, for your creams, your lotions, what are your handles where they can find you?
Facebook and IG, it's Maze Moss, MAESMOSS and on my IG, that's both words together. On Facebook, it's separate, so it's MAES space MOSS, and of course my handle Hood Soul on IG, and my name Ahmad on Facebook. That's where you can find me.
And I end each episode. I'm just trying to write your handles here, and I end each episode with with a positive ending message. This whole interview or conversation's been positive, a lot of gems, but this is a spot for you to say anything to anyone who's in the room or who can watch this back later. Just a positive message for you to the audience. Floor is yours.
If I was to leave anything, understand that this life is beautiful even when it's a tragedy. Never get caught up in the moments where it's dark. Always understand that there is light at the end of the tunnel, no matter how cliche that sounds. Be the best version of yourself that you can be. Always strive to be better today than you were yesterday. Love with your heart open. Never be quick to close it. And just be you.
I appreciate that. After this episode, I'm going to inbox you my phone number. Just shoot me a text because I definitely, when I push this circle, I definitely want you involved. I think, I can't, you can send it, but I can't take ownership for that. I think you would be definitely an asset for us to definitely build something for us men and for men in general. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm about, man. Ahmad or Hood Soul, I appreciate you. I feel like we're friends now. You know what I'm saying? And just keep doing what you're doing. I will wrap back around to you for another interview because I definitely want to ask you these questions, and I'm probably going to add more to it. But I got to be more prepared because like I said, literally, I asked you off of my list 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 questions, actually, it's more. Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Because you answered, I asked you 8. You answered 5 without me asking because it flowed. It flowed so nicely. But I appreciate it. And we're just going to keep building. I want to thank everyone who watched me talk tonight for about 5 hours
I
between the
was about
sports
to
show.
say, because you was still doing stuff before this.
Yeah, I was doing the sports show, and we didn't get to finish. So, you were on the end. So now Sunday, I got to go on for an hour and a half and talk about it, But listen, that's how you make it in this world, right?
That's it.
I want to thank everyone for watching. Thank you for the support. I will be back here next Tuesday with Adobo Jigs, and I will be on Nerd Camp Sports Sunday at 10 a.m. and Monday at 6 p.m. Hood Soul, appreciate you, my brother. You have a good night. And everyone, love, peace, prosperity, and positivity. We'll see you next time.
Peace.
Peace.